Welcome to this short video. My name is James Monroe and I am a resident of Pembroke House in the centre of Salisbury. This property is owned and operated by Stonewater, a national social housing provider. I have made this video because I and a number of my fellow residents believe that our landlord is putting all of us at serious risk, and nobody seems to care. Pembroke House is a retirement living scheme and is a Grade 2 listed building in what was formerly the main Salisbury Hospital. It now houses 38 self-contained 1- and 2-bedroom flats. Residents are required to be at least 55 years old, although many of them are considerably older, being in their 70s and 80s, with our oldest resident over 100. Because of their age and various infirmities, some residents can easily become confused, and a number are unable to walk any distance without the aid of a walking frame. Pembroke House is currently undergoing a sorely needed refurbishment, but this has caused serious problems and risks for the residents, principally because of chaotic and lax site management. These photographs show how flammable rubbish has been simply dumped in the corridors and stairwells and then left for weeks. Fire extinguishers were hidden under rubbish and shut up in cupboards. But what really scared some residents was being trapped on the upper floors by the contractor shutting and obstructing both emergency staircases on 2 separate nights. Access to the top floors of Pembroke House is by means of 2 emergency staircases and a lift. In the event of a fire, there is no way out of Pembroke House except by using the lift, which is very dangerous and not recommended by the fire brigade. As there was no Stonewater representative available, several concerned residents independently contacted the local fire authority, who managed to have one of the emergency staircases cleared and opened the next day. We understand that Stonewater and their contractor were given written warning of multiple fire safety violations. I ask you to remember this when you read Stonewater's own statement regarding fire safety later in this video. Today, residents remain totally unaware of any serious threat discovered and reported by the fire service, and there is still flammable rubbish in the corridor and fire extinguishers being used as doorstops. Here is hard evidence of the lack of fire security in Pembroke House. Because the contractor leaves previously locked doors wide open, the residents have discovered there is an old lift shaft that is open between floors without anything to prevent fire moving throughout the building. In this photograph, the floor below is clearly visible, and this is hard evidence of lax fire security. This must call the whole of Stonewater's stay-put fire policy into question. This is an old building with wooden floors that will burn, unlike modern concrete buildings, and who knows how many other problems like this old lift exist in this building. Is there a recent and specific fire safety risk assessment for Pembroke House? If so, why wasn't this clear threat identified and rectified? Or do Stonewater simply group fire policies for similar schemes? Will the residents ever discover if they are safe, or do they have to wait for the inquiry held following a disaster? Please remember these serious problems when you read Stonewater's own statement regarding fire safety later in this video. Here is another urgent problem that is being ignored by the management on the basis that it will be fixed in the next couple of months or so, or at least that is what we are promised. I believe this problem makes this building unsafe today, tomorrow, and for every day until it is fixed. This is the sole entrance and exit used by the residents. There is an alarmed fire door at the other end of the building. The front door control mechanism is defective and puts the residents at risk. The residents use this pad and a key fob to gain entrance. The emergency services use this pad and a code to gain entrance. In the entrance hall, this push pad is used to unlock the door and get out the building. If the fire alarm is activated, this door should unlock automatically. The front door mechanism has an intermittent fault that is steadily and progressively getting worse. I use this door 6 to 12 times a day, and the fault will manifest itself several times every single day. Other residents have reported similar or even worse problems. Stonewater management is well aware of this problem because it has been reported on many occasions. It can take a resident up to 5 minutes to gain access to Pembroke House, that is if the door opens at all. In a rainstorm, this can be inconvenient. Late at night, some elderly residents become very nervous at being locked out of their home. Further, Fishton Street is not always a safe place to be. The code pad used by the ambulance service is also faulty and sometimes fails to open the door. If you were having a heart attack, would you consider a door that delayed the paramedic a serious problem? The exit mechanism inside the lobby has the same intermittent fault. I have experienced being trapped inside Pembroke House when the front door jammed solid. The front door is supposed to unlock if the fire alarm is set off. Unfortunately, it has the same fault and does not always work. Residents have had a good chance to observe the failure of this mechanism during the refurbishment, as the contractor set off the fire alarm several times a day. This serious and potentially lethal problem is very real and has been observed by a number of residents. It has been remarked that there is a fire escape at the far end of the building, but how many of the elderly and infirm residents of Pembroke House would actually make it out? This is especially worrying now that the helpful handrail that would have assisted them down the corridor to the fire escape has been removed to improve the aesthetics. Other handrails are being removed as part of the refurbishment to give the building an uncluttered look. No consideration is given to how the more infirm and elderly residents will deal with any emergency. I cannot understand the attitude of Stonewater's management when they have been made fully aware of the problem both by the residents and the local fire brigade. If a tragedy were to occur, surely they could not evade culpability and would be morally, legally, and quite possibly criminally liable. This is Stonewater's reassurance to tenants about fire safety posted on their website. They say they have no problem in any of their tens of thousands of properties throughout the country. The residents of Pembroke House would beg to differ. Is the head office aware of these problems in Pembroke House? Perhaps this video would provide the information they lack. Remember the open lift shaft allowing fire to leak between floors in Pembroke House? This is not a new problem. Any serious risk assessment would have identified it. Is the real policy one of ignoring and denying problems?